Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I am Kirsty Duncan, Skills Coordinator for Construction Scotland Innovation Centre. This webinar will explore how employers in the construction sector can support young people in their organisations and the workforce. I am joined today by Elaine Ellis from Skills Development Scotland, Neil Peterson from Young Persons Guarantee Unit at Scottish Government, Katie McKenzie from Skills Development Scotland, Michael Lennox from CITB, and Laurie Barker from McLaughlin and Harvey. Just a few housekeeping to start. So this session will be recorded and available to view on the CSIC YouTube channel early next week. If you would like to ask any questions or leave a comment, click on the questions in the control panel and type in your question and press send. There will be a couple of polls questions. These will appear automatically on your screen and you'll be given about 30 seconds to answer. Your feedback is extremely valuable to us, so please take time to post your questions and comments on the board, and even if we don't get time to them, we'll hopefully answer them all after the session. So we're going to kick off today with our first poll. So if I can just get that up. So there we go. If you just take 30 seconds. So what do you hope to get out of today? Discover options to bring young people into my organisations, identify benefits of employing young people, gain information on support for employee young people, and understand more about similar employers' experience. So that'll just be up for a few more seconds and we'll see the results. And the results be in, so that's great. So I guess, yeah, most people are looking to gain information on support for employing young people, which is great. So hopefully we will be able to do that for you today. So I'm now going to introduce you to our first speaker, Elaine Ellis, who is the Skills Planning Manager in Construction and Other Industries for Skills Development Scotland. So Elaine, can you join us, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. No, thanks very much for your time today. I really appreciate you all giving up your time, which is very valuable. This is just a very brief background to the meeting today. We're conscious that we've brought a lot of different organisations together, and it's just to highlight that the organisations that are here today aren't just working together as a one-off or a one-off around this event. We've been working together very closely for many years, but very much over the last year around the industry leadership group, skills group, and sort of focusing on the COVID recovery group. This is an event to help make it easier and hopefully to provide support to employers to engage with young people, but it is not a one-off. And I think following this event, we'll be certainly looking to go and see what else we can do and what we can do in addition to support. So your feedback is absolutely invaluable, and we really would value your feedback so that we know how best to support you guys moving forward. That's it for me. I'm delighted to be here, and I will hand over to Neil, who works for Youth Guarantee team at Scottish Government. Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Elaine. As Elaine suggested, I'm going to be speaking today about the Young Persons Guarantee. I'll just get my slides up and make sure that you can all see those. Hopefully now you can see the slides that I've got there.
That's perfect, Neil. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, for those who are not familiar with the Young Persons Guarantee, I thought I would start off with obviously a bit of an overview about the main ambition for the Young Persons Guarantee. The guarantee aims to guarantee every young person in Scotland between the age of 16 and 24 the opportunity of a job, an apprenticeship, college placement, university placement, traineeship, work experience, or formal volunteering programme. It was informed by extensive engagement through delivery partners and political parties and key stakeholders who all came together. This was led by Sandy Begbie, who drew together a report which led to the Young Persons Guarantee. This was done back in September, and the Young Persons Guarantee really came around to prevent the pandemic leaving a lasting impact on the employment opportunities of young people within the future workforce. What we are asking employers to do is to support the Young Persons Guarantee to really show young people the support that is out there from employers, and really to sort of get behind them and show them that the business world wants young people to be successful. When Sandy put together the guarantee, there was a number of different principles that he had within that. I've got a few of those up on the screen there, but I really want to kind of draw out 5 of them. The first being that the guarantee is a strategic solution that supports young people from the early years of secondary school right through to starting work. It's not a case of this being just young people in the workplace. It is obviously engaging with them at secondary school as well. The guarantee sits above all the wiring programs and agencies that are there to deliver its ambition. Some of the feedback that came through the focus groups that Sandy ran back at the end of last year suggested that sometimes this can be quite a confusing space with lots of different bits and pieces going on. So the guarantee is really there to sort of sit above all these things as a kind of umbrella. It's not an initiative or a program or a fund in itself. As I said, it draws everything else together. It has no end date. It's about delivering sustained change in the youth employment area. The initial guarantee date of 2 years to have these opportunities for young people, it's really about saying getting from where we were to where we would like to be. But then it's a case similar to DYW about then maintaining that, getting to that level and maintaining it and sustaining it. And finally, the guarantee is hopefully here to simplify the complex landscape, making it easier to connect young people to employers and their opportunities. So with the main ambition of the guarantee, employers were coming to us initially and saying, well, that's great, I'd really like to support the guarantee, but how do I get on board and how do I go about doing that? So what we suggested, what we did off the back of suggestions was we created these 5 asks of employers. I think what we appreciated at that time was that through the recovery of the pandemic, employers are going to be at different stages of that recovery. And it might be that they can offer jobs, that they can offer apprenticeships, but it might also be that they can't offer that just now and that they want to do that longer term and they want to do that a bit over time. But obviously understanding that they may have ways that they can support until they get to that point of being able to offer more opportunities. So the 5 asks that we created were to support young people and prepare them for the world of work, to help all young people to achieve their potential, to invest in a skilled workforce, to create jobs and opportunities for young people, and to create an inclusive workplace which supports all young people. Now, often employers come to me and say, well, look, I can't do all those right now, but I do want to support the guarantee, and that's absolutely fine. As I said before, we're mindful of the fact that different employers can do more or less, and as it is, then you don't need to be able to do all 5 of these. Ideally, you might be working towards some of them, or ideally even working towards all of them, but it doesn't need to be that you're delivering on all of those to show your support for the guarantee. What we've done for employers to sign up to the guarantee is we've created a guidance document and also a pro forma. I'll show you an example pro forma on the next slide. But the guidance document goes through all the sort of the asks that we've got here and explains different ways that you can get involved with each of the asks. Some of you might be familiar with developing your workforce, and that obviously sits within these ask number 1, supporting young people and preparing them for the world of work. More predominantly, that's going to be at school or at college. Helping all young people achieve their potential is around about working with employability groups. So young people who've predominantly left school, I might be working with an employability partner, helping them with work experience or giving them a job opportunity from that employability program. To invest in the skilled workforce, that's all about really upskilling the young people that are in your organisation. It might be that you have some young people who've left school and joined your organisation, and it's a case of then obviously upskilling them in the role that they're in just now. Ask 4 is all about creating opportunities for young people, so that would be new opportunities, apprenticeships and work positions. And then finally, the last one about fair work is all about ensuring that young people have what they need to provide a fair workplace. As I said, I've got an example here of a pro forma. Now, it might be that that's too small for you to read the detail. That's not really what I was wanting to focus on here. This is the document that we've got that employers can sign up to show their support. On the left-hand side, there's a few yes and no questions about can you offer work-based opportunities, can you offer foundation apprenticeship opportunities, can you offer work inspiration activities, and then a few other things about what you're doing within the fair workspace. After that, we've got a numeric box to say, well, this is how many modern apprenticeships I'm hoping to offer, this is how many graduate apprenticeships I'm hoping to offer. So that one's more of a numerical box. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that the 5 asks have been broken down, and it's a case for employers to take the opportunity to describe the commitment that they've got for the next 12 months. In addition to these 2 pages, there's then another page that says what you might like to do in the future, and that's where me and the other guys within the employer engagement team would come in and say, great, you've got an ask where you've said that you want to do this, let me now come in and help you and see if we can give you all the support that you need to do that ask that you've got. So why would employers sign up to the guarantee, or why would they want to show the support of the guarantee? Hopefully it's an opportunity to showcase the range and extent of support that you provide to young people. It's also an opportunity to get the support to identify and develop areas you may want to develop within your organisation. If you're currently doing modern apprenticeships but you want to have a look at graduate apprenticeships, this is the opportunity to then get that support that you need. It's also a chance to contribute to your corporate social responsibility. An awful lot of tenders these days will have a community benefit clause in them, and that's obviously your chance to do that, and it ties into the Young Person's Guarantee. The Young Person's Guarantee hopefully allows you to raise the awareness of your industry and your organisation to become an employer of choice for young people. And finally, it should also help to build a skilled workforce for now and in the future. So finally, if anyone wants to get in touch, I've got my details on that page there. As I said before, it's Neil Peterson, Employer Engagement Manager, and my email address is down there, and I'll obviously make sure that is shared with these slides at the end of the presentation. Kirsty, back to you. Thank you.
Great, thanks for that, Neil. That was really interesting. And if you have any questions for Neil, then please drop them into the question box. So we're now going to hear from Katie McKenzie, who is the Apprenticeship Development Executive for Skills Development Scotland. So over to you, Katie.
Hi everyone. Thanks for introducing me there. My name's Katie and I'm the Apprenticeship Development Executive for Skills Development Scotland. So I was going to go through some of the benefits of apprenticeship.scot and how it can help your business when it comes to recruiting apprentices. So first up here, we've got some stats around apprenticeships.scot. So since it's began in 2016, we've had over 1.6 million users to the site. So it's used widely among schools and in our local careers offices. When it comes to applications submitted, we've had over 41,000 applications submitted directly to app.scot. So that is when an employer or learning provider asks an applicant to apply through covering letter and CV. And we've also had over 12,000 opportunities, so it's a very popular website, and each year we've had increasing vacancies and increasing opportunities as they go along. A few benefits about using app.scot. So we do have a subscribers job alert which is sent out weekly. It's sent out every Tuesday at 4:30, and currently we have around 10,000 people signed up to this job alert. We try and vary the job alert as much as possible, so it's got 15 vacancies on it, and we make sure that the vacancies are varied depending on location, industry, job title, so that there's a whole host of vacancies there for young people to apply to. We can also have the chance for your vacancies to be featured on our homepage. So currently there is 4 vacancies on our featured vacancies, and they change every 2 to 3 days, and it just gives a bit more visualisation to our young people about what kind of vacancies are out there. We've also got the main apprenticeships.scot Facebook and Twitter page, where daily we advertise different vacancies, but more importantly we've got the 27 local Facebook pages, so applicants can see in their area what kind of apprenticeships are available to them, and we'll share loads of different vacancies on there once they've been in apprenticeships.scot, and it just gives them some more visualisation of vacancies that are on there. We also send some updates to our careers advisors every week of different vacancies that are in their area, so that they can sit down with young people and they can look at the vacancies that we have and make sure that the applicants that are applying are well suited to that role, and it's something that they'll enjoy and something that they'll be hopefully good at too. There's also lots of different support available once you start using apprenticeships.scot. So once you upload your vacancy, they're all validated and verified by our customer services team to make sure that all the information looks okay and is correct to go on the site. And if they have any questions about it, they'll get back in touch with you just to make sure that they can update the information. There's also lots of equalities advice and guidance on the website. So we've got loads of different guides on there around about funding, adopt an apprentice, lots of different things, so that if you need any information, you can get it on there. We've also got a live chat on the website, so you can speak to any of our customer service advisors when you need to. And there's also myself if you ever have any questions, and you can get in touch with me. So some information just about construction vacancies that have been on the site in the past. So as you can see there, they're very, very popular. It's actually the industry with the highest amount of applications, but it's also the industry that has the fewest amount of vacancies advertised, which might explain why they're so popular when they are on, because they are quite few and far between when they're on the site. But as you can see, year on year, they're gaining more interest, and they're becoming more and more popular as they go along. We do find that there is an increasing demand for construction vacancies, especially in rural areas. That's where we tend to see the least amount of engagement with them, just because there are so few. But overall, it is the industry with the most amount of applications. On this slide here, this is more just for your information. So it's just the frameworks that we have and the kind of training options that are included in there. So maybe the name of the job title. So I haven't included kind of electrician or plumbing, just because they're quite obvious what framework you would choose for them. But when it comes to building construction and specialist construction, there can be some confusion about which one you should choose. So I thought I would include this slide just to give you a bit more information about which ones would be right for you and for your business. I've also included in here some lines about adopt an apprentice. So I've included the link to the page. So on the apprenticeships.scot funding page, there is an awful lot of information around the different types of funding that you can get. But adopt an apprentice is a financial incentive for employers to take on an apprentice who's recently been made redundant from their employer. So you can take on a modern or graduate apprenticeship, and you can get up to £5,000 to help cover the wage and recruitment costs. I think this does run out in a few weeks, but I thought I would include it just so that you can see it there. And there also is a lot more information on the website about different types of funding and any new incentives that do come out that can help you and your business. I've also included this here, which has actually been sent as a handout to you as well. So this is hot off the press. It was just made last week, and it's an apprenticeships.scot user guide, just to help you when it comes to recruiting apprentices. Gives you some benefits of using app.scot. It's free, which is again is the main benefit of it. A wee checklist before uploading, so that you can tick off once you've completed each step, and just the kind of what to include in each section of the vacancy upload. So the job overview, the skills the applicant will learn, the qualifications or quality that are required, and then a little bit about what happens once your vacancy is posted to app.scot. I've also included some nice useful links down at the bottom there that you might want to have a wee look around before it comes to using apprenticeships.scot. But hopefully this will answer kind of any questions that you do have, and will help you when it comes to uploading to apprenticeships.scot. And this is just my contact details if you do need any information about apprenticeships.scot, any funding that we offer, or anything that we can do to try and help you as a business when it comes to recruiting apprentices. And that's me.
Thank you, Katie. That was great. And you'll be able to find those relevant links in your chat box just now. So we're going to go to our next poll. So if I can have that up, please. So what are the key challenges and barriers when recruiting young people? So is it a lack of quality applications, time cost required to upskill young people, financial cost required to upskill young people, or is it a lack of understanding of the construction industry? So that'll be up for a few more seconds. And we'll just get the answers now. So a bit of everything, but at 40% it is a lack of quality applications. So that's really helpful to know, and we will take these findings back with us. So next up, we are going to have Michael Lennox, is the Senior Customer Engagement Manager of CITB. So over to you, Michael. Thanks.
Thanks, Kirsty. Okay, thanks for having me this morning. So I thought I'd talk about the Construction Industry Training Board and how we can help organisations with various funding mechanisms. So let me just go through that. Okay, so first of all, CITB, we are funded by Industry for Industry. We're a government body, part of the Department for Education in England and the UK, which collects a legal thing called a levy, and that levy is then redistributed back to organisations through grants and funding that we provide. So the things that we can fund, we support employers with day-to-day training for their workforce. We contribute to the cost of their training through different categories. So short courses can be anything from a few hours a day up to 5-10 days. We also do qualification grants. So if your current workforce wants to go through a professional qualification at a different vocational level, a higher vocational level, they're getting cross-trained into something new, you can go through qualification grants. That's as low as £600 and up to about £3,000, depending if it was something like a postgraduate. And our main one, the one that we actually fund people for, and we're well known for, is our apprenticeship grant. And in Scotland, we probably spend about £14 million a year on apprenticeship grants. What's not known widely is that in Scotland, of the around about 30,000 apprentices that are on the books, around about 1 in 3 are in construction in what we call the built environment. So that's the wider construction sector. So even though we only make up about 9% of the what we call the gross domestic product, so that's how big we put into the taxation and productivity of Scotland. 1 in 3 of construction employers recruit an apprenticeship. So the sector's already punching well above its weight. So we also have funding mechanisms for any projects that are relating to innovation or training. These we call skills and training funds for small or medium companies. So if we look at the two types of them, so if you're a small company, small is even having 1 employee. So if it's someone who owns a business and you have 1 employee, then you can claim funding from CITB if you're a CITB registered organisation. So it can be up to £10,000. A lot of this money is given up front. So say you wanted to do something like a Prince 2 project management course, if you wanted to get specialist skills in BIM, which is the kind of business information modelling systems, if you wanted to innovate and bring new technologies on board, this is the way to do it. There's a simple application process on CITB's webpage that you can look at, and we'll very quickly get back in touch with you on a monthly basis to tell you how that goes. Don't feel you have to apply for everything. If you're, say, an employer with 99 employees and you've got £10,000 up to claim, but you only want to claim £2,000 up front for a particular course, don't feel you have to wait till you get that £10,000. Apply for the £2,000. Submit your evidence that the training's complete, and then if you need additional training each year, you can get that. The medium fund is exactly the same, up to 250 PAYE employees, and that's 25k. Very similar process, but for these larger companies, we want them to be a bit more innovative. If you think about it, these are larger companies that are probably paying for a lot of the smaller training in-house anyway. So for the larger 100 plus organisations, we're looking them to really improve productivity, innovate and improve their management or leadership functions, or bring something new to the table that will help improve their organisations. Okay, so you can see there the levels of it. I'll just leave that screen up there for a few seconds so you can see it. I'm not actually going to read it out. All the slides will be available after this if needed. Okay, so for apprenticeships, this is the one that we're known for in Scotland and the UK. This is the one that we can kind of help you with. So we pay for 2 different things. We pay for the ongoing attendance. So every quarter we pay a proportion of a pot of money. So for the first year of attendance, you get a total amount of £2,500. So you get 4 sets of that every quarter that we can provide evidence for that. For the second year of attendance, when you hit your second year achievement grant, So if you were doing an SCQF level 6, say in something like bricklaying, then that's a 4-year apprenticeship. So you can see here the different achievement and attendance grants, and that would add up to roughly a total of about 14,500 if you and your apprentice can evidence all of the attendance and achievement that has happened to your organisation. So a lot of it's done, we can automate that. So if you use CITB's managed agency service, it's all automated. If you use your local college or other organisation, then you have to provide the evidence on your own. Of course, CITB don't know that you're actually chatting about anything. So if we don't know that you're still employing an individual, you just have to provide some evidence. But there's a simple form that we can use to get that through. So I'm here, I've got any questions I can handle that's going on there. What I would say is as well, back to the points from SDS about recruiting, it's well worth thinking about just a redundant employee. If an apprentice has lost their jobs and they're, say, 2 years into an apprenticeship, you'll still get the remainder. So you'll get a pro rata amount from CITB based on what's left. But not only that, you'll get a fully fledged worker with the remainder of their time. So instead of you having to commit 4 years, say for a bricklayer, you might only have to commit the remainder, which could be 2 years, 18 months, 6 months. So you should really think about, if you can't afford a full 4-year apprenticeship, then really have a chat to Skills Development Scotland about taking on a redundant apprentice. Okay, that's all from me. Back to Kirsty.
Thanks, Michael. That was really interesting, especially to see all the different funding available. So again, if you have any questions for Michael, please do just drop them in the questions box. So we're now going to go over to Laurie Barker, who is the HR advisor from McLaughlin and Harvey Construction. So we've had a few technical issues this morning, so I'm afraid you won't be able to see Laurie, but I'm hoping she's going to be able to join us over the phone, and you'll be able to see her slide, which is just being brought up just now. So Laurie, are you there? We'll just see if we can get her just now. I think we're struggling to get her just now. So what we'll do is, while we try and get Laurie on the phone, we'll go over to our next poll, please. So if I can have the next poll. So it'll be just up in a second. There we go. So if you could, what are the benefits of have you found when recruiting young people? So is it develop and motivate your existing staff, contribute to your corporate social responsibility, support and develop your diversity and inclusion strategy, build a skilled workforce for now and in the future, and to gain new ideas and insight from a generation diverse. So we'll just leave that up for a second. And we'll get the answers through. And if we could have the answers, perfect. Perfect, so quite a split there, but the one that is sticking out the most is build a skilled workforce for now and in the future. Perfect. So what we'll do now is we're still struggling to get Laurie in, but we'll go to a few questions that we've had. So if I can welcome back all the other panelists, if you want to come back on screen just now, and we'll go through a few questions. Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. So I've got my first question here, which I think is for Neil. So how does an employer sign up to support the young person's guarantee?
Yeah, thanks for that, Kirsty. So signing up for the Young Person's Guarantee is a case of filling out the proforma, the proforma I showed an example of earlier on. It's a 3-page document. You've got the first part that obviously says, can you do work experience, yes or no? Can you do foundation apprenticeships? Obviously, there's then a box to pop in some numbers about, the number of foundation apprenticeships, modern apprenticeships, graduate apprenticeships that you could offer. Then the section where it says, okay, this is what I'm doing against each of the asks. And it's just a case really of filling out that document and then sending it back to ourselves within the employer engagement team. I'm obviously happy to pick up with any employer that wants to have a chat about the performer or about the guidance document that's there to support that. And then off the back of that, it's a case of me then saying, great, you've got all these things that you're doing just now. You've identified some things that you want to do in the future. And then I can come back and say, great, it might be that you want to connect to the DYW network. And I would then obviously make sure that the employer's put in touch with the correct regional team that they want to be working with.
That's great, thanks Neil. And I've got another question here, which I think will be for Katie. If an employer has a vacancy, how should they get in touch? And then the second part is, what do you ask for as part of filling in that kind of vacancy form?
Yeah, so if they want to get in touch, they can get in touch through our live chat on apprenticeships.scot, or we've got a customer service email address, or they can get in touch with me. So there's various outlets they can get in touch with. We also have like the employer engagement service and our skills investment advisors for learning providers. So there is quite a lot of contacts that can be made through Skills Development Scotland in order to start using apprenticeships.scot. And the kind of things we look for when it comes to apprenticeships.scot, there's a sign in section where they would sign up for an employer account, and then they can upload their vacancy from there. So we just look for like the framework that they're going to deliver, the job title, a salary range, and they need to already have their learning provider that they're going to use already set in place. And then again, it just goes from the what I included on the apprenticeships.scot user guide about the kind of job overview, what skills the applicant will learn, and what they'll do once they're on the job. So then it's basically just a general job advert that you're kind of creating from there. So it's just a few bits of information just to make the applicant really aware of what they're going to do, what they're going to study, especially how much they're going to, and that's usually a question that they always ask. So that's why we include it on our job adverts, is just to include the salary range for them.
Amazing, thank you very much for that. And Michael, I've got a question here for you as well. You mentioned about the kind of employer investing in skills. How do you go about accessing this support?
It's as simple as you can be finding any provider. Most colleges and universities run construction support programs as well as back office programs. CITB also have lots of information on our website, and we have a network of about 70 staff. We have 10 engagement advisors which cover each area, and we can get a list of them out, as well as over 60 apprenticeship officers helping employers in the field with the tasks that Katie talked about. So if you need help developing a job advert, if you need help finding a training provider, if you need help understanding how to engage with schools, CITB's apprenticeship staff can do that for you. As Katie said earlier, there's an amazing need for kids to join apprenticeship. If roughly 60 kids are applying for each advert that's out there, that's 60 untapped young people that you could get the best of, and it's much better to attempt it and sift down 60 kids than to go to your next door neighbour or go to your local area and pick someone. It's much more safer because these kids have already committed that they want to move into construction. So it's much safer for you. But there's loads of information on the CITB website. But if they're struggling, they can either drop me a line or they can get in touch with any of our CITB staff who are all across our web pages.
Amazing, thanks Michael. And I'll throw this one out to everyone. So as a startup tech micro business, what is the most appropriate approach to advertise a post? Anyone want to go for that one?
I would say Katie.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of app.scot, it would be quite easy. You would just need to set up an account on apprenticeships.scot. So it's like signing up to kind of any website. You sign up as an employer and it just asks for your email address and contact details. And then from there, we've got a 3-step process when it comes to recruiting an apprentice on app.scot. So there's find the framework that best suits you, find the learning provider that then would provide that framework for you, and then just upload your vacancy. There's loads of helpful guides on app.scot when it comes to posting the vacancy. But like I say, it's just the steps that we went through before. So make sure you've got like your learning provider, you know the salary, you know what the apprentice is going to do, and just sell the job to them through your job advert that you would then want to put on. And it would be quite as simple as that. We've also got, like they say, the live chat if you do need any help or you have any questions. And we've also got an form on the site that employers can fill out to get in touch with their employee engagement team, so they can then help you if you have any other questions about any funding that you would want, or any more information you would like just about the whole apprenticeship process.
Great. And a question for Neil. Does an employer need to be able to demonstrate how they are delivering on all 5 of the asks?
No, they don't. The asks, I think, were designed to suggest that obviously, it might be that employers can only engage with 1 or 2 of them to start off with, and obviously work towards 5. So, no, they don't need to be able to demonstrate that they're working, that they're delivering against all 5. What we would ask, obviously, is that employers are ideally working against those and trying to achieve those longer term where possible.
Great. And again, this one, if anyone like to contribute, Elaine, I don't know if you have anything for this one. How can you encourage small businesses to consider work-based learning who haven't considered it before? Or anyone?
Yeah, I think for small employers, it is just having that, getting more information and speaking to other small employers that have done it. If there's similar employers in your area, again, if you're within the sort of CITB footprint, they would be able to connect you over with one of your apprenticeship officers. If you're in the sort of select snippet HVAC sort of portfolio, they would absolutely be able to do the same. They have a wealth of knowledge there. I think that's one of the first and most sort of easy and simple steps. I think it is also speaking to ourselves. We do have advice in terms of frameworks and what suits. And there is a lot of frameworks out there for all this is about construction, and we've sort of directly focused on the construction related apprenticeships. There's a lot of other apprenticeships that would also be very relevant that aren't construction focused. So that would be ones in IT, administration. There's a whole range there. So certainly we would be happy to speak to you about that. And I think the other side is to explore what sort of opportunities are there around sort of where there's additional support with funding. But yeah, absolute first step for me is to speak to other people that have been there and done it, and use the networks across the CITB and across the sort of sector SNP or sort of HVAC, and speak to like-minded employers. And I think that would be a great first step.
Great, thanks, Elaine. So I've got another question here, which I'll throw open to everyone. So are there any funding for employers who will support ex-offenders who has a CSCS card following completing their unpaid work orders gain employment, or any direction to send the people to?
Yeah, I mean, at CITB, we don't discriminate on any of that. The only thing that we fund the employer, so if the employer takes that ex-offender on, then that individual is entitled to all of the training benefits, apprenticeship grants that are available to anyone else. Work experience is normally funded through organisations such as your local council. So there are employer recruitment incentives at local councils, as well as at colleges and the Department of Work and Pensions, which runs I think it's called a Kickstart scheme for young people. So there is funding out there. I think I would get in touch with either CITB, Skills Development Scotland, or the Department of Work and Pensions. There's probably a little bit of money available from all of those or some of those organisations to help you get there. The only thing I would say is CITB, we can only fund you once you've actually got that person working for you. But if it's pre-employment support, then that's probably more likely your local council or your Department of Work and Pensions. I don't know if Elaine or Neil have anything else on that.
I think you covered a lot of sort of my knowledge in that space. There is a wide range of funding out there. It does tend to sit with different organisations. The employability team in your local council, depending on what area you are, as well would be a really good source of advice, because they would be able to link in with different schemes. So it's not a clear-cut answer. There is having to do that extra step of work, but it's definitely worth doing that step.
What I would say is the construction sector is very pro ex-offenders. We are very positive about there are some, kind of limitations to that, particularly where you're working in a dangerous area and drug tests need to be required on site. But for most ex-offenders, then there is an opportunity to join the construction sector, and there's a way into the sector for you.
Amazing. And a question for Neil is, where can they access the Proforma?
Yeah, so the Proforma, I'm happy for that to be shared around after the call. Hopefully we can send that out with some of the other papers after the there's a guidance document that goes with that, or alternatively, if somebody wants to obviously get in touch and discuss it in advance, I'm more than happy that this shared with my details to pick up with employers on a one-to-one basis to help them with the process.
Perfect. And we've got one last question here before we try and get Laurie back. So I'm teaching built environment, core skills, communication, employability, health and safety, and ICT. What specifically are employers looking for in terms of skills, and how can I get more collaboration with employers? Any suggestions from anyone?
I think those are all the useful skills. Those are what's called meta skills from the Scottish Government. They're transferable skills, so it doesn't matter whether you're in a factory, whether you're in a supermarket or on a construction site. You'll have to work on your own, you'll have to work as part of a team, you'll be working to targets, you'll be working with digital systems, and you'll be working in a health and safety conscious environment. So what the construction sector can do is teach you the bits that are missing, whether that's vocational skills, so that's on-site skills, that's working with the tools, equipment and safety equipment that you have on site, or off-site skills, so that's working with college environments or in manufacturing environments for the things that are assembled off-site. Employers are used to training those. What they're looking for is a commitment for the young person or for the person with those meta skills. They're much more valuable. I think there's been lots of studies that show that they are the one valuable tradable concept in the 21st century. Everything else can be trained. It's the meta skills that are the most valuable asset.
Yeah, I was just
Great,
going to,
thank you, Michael.
I was just going to come in briefly and say I think everything Michael said is absolutely correct, and there's also, there's also that thing that we're looking for people that are interested and reliable and keen to turn up, and employers mention that sort of again and again. I think from our side, I'm certainly happy if you want to separately sort of drop me an email. I think for us it's good to get the picture of what the experience is from these courses getting into the sector, and we recognise that it's not always perfect, and I think that might be something that just worth exploring further and seeing if we can feed that sort of experience into the industry leadership skills group and see what we can pick up and do a little bit more there. So I'm certainly happy for you to drop me an email separately. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Elaine. Thank you all to our panelists so far. We're going to now bring Laurie back for her presentation. So yeah, if Laurie, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, Laurie.
I'm on my mobile, so on my iPhone, so that get through, so great. So thanks very much for your patience with me today, and also it's been great to hear from the other presenters, and I do plan to have a look into some of the resources that have been mentioned, because it'll help me with recruiting young people for McLaughlin and Harvey in the future. We've recently committed to the Young Person's Guarantee, and Neil's invited me to talk today to give an employer's perspective on completing the Young Person's Guarantee pro forma, and also to speak to you about how we at McLaughlin and Harvey are already delivering on this commitment. So we are a management contractor at McLaughlin and Harvey, and we have around 700 staff employed throughout the UK. Out of our Bells Hill office, we have around 300 employees. Our construction sites are located throughout the UK, and we have social value commitments at each of these sites. When completing the pro forma, to ensure I achieved a company-wide perspective, I met with our social values team who deliver the site commitments to ensure I didn't miss anything that was crucial out. We all contributed to the list of commitments under each ask, ensuring that we were making things on it that were measurable. So it was great to talk through our aspirations for future development as we were completing the form, and we started to talk about how they could be delivered. But then once I submitted the form to Neil, he then explained that this is actually part of the process, and it's about identifying areas that they can help us with achieving the asks. So that was quite a positive kind of outcome as well for us. I think overall the pro forma, it isn't clear who should complete the pro forma, but I don't actually know if we could be specific as that when it's been issued. Each company is likely to have different people that are responsible for different bits. So I think it is really about bringing people together to ensure that we're speaking to everybody that's involved in those areas, and ensuring that the commitments are made that are both achievable and aspirational for the business. As a business, McLaughlin and Harvey already employ a number of young people. We're a member of the 5% Club, and 9% of our Scottish workforce are earning and learning through graduate apprenticeships. This year we had over 700 applicants for our trainee scheme, and we only advertised on apprenticeship.scot. So as Katie has already mentioned, I'm finding more and more young people are using this resource each year. I also think the stigma of an apprenticeship is starting to change from a graduate apprenticeship perspective. We recruit trainee quantity surveyors, trainee civil engineers, and trainee site managers. Our trainees become STEM ambassadors, and that encourages, they are able to then encourage young people to apply for our future vacancies to work within the construction industry as well. So we're also adopting an apprentice this year, which I'm quite pleased about. And through a relationship that I have at Heriot Watt, I learned of an apprenticeship that needed adopted, and he's going to start with us at the end of the month. So that's great. We do a lot of work with our communities local to our construction sites, and so our site teams attend school career events, give guidance on CVs, and do mock interviews at local level. We participate in careers events arranged by Developing Young Workforce, and we regularly provide mentoring sessions at schools that are local to our sites. We already make great contribution recruiting young people with our graduate apprenticeships. However, our aspiration is to become more involved in other areas of apprenticeships. The Foundation Apprenticeship provides a direct pathway into our trainee scheme, and we're looking at how we can provide more of these at our sites. We aspire to utilise modern apprenticeships more, either as a direct employee or to support our vitally important subcontractors. 2021 is looking positive for young people working for McLaughlin and Harvey, and we're hoping to start at least 6 more graduate apprenticeships this summer. So that's just a bit of an insight really into how we've approached things with the pro forma, and I hope it's helpful. And if anybody's any questions, just let me know.
Amazing. Thank you, Laurie. And we're going to go in with our final poll today. But if you do have any last minute questions, please post them right now, and then we can maybe get a few. But we'll go with our last poll, please. So what information would be helpful in the future? So case studies or experience from like-minded employers, financial support available, training support available, or improving diversity in the workplace. And that'll just be up for a few more minutes. And we'll get the answers through for that. Perfect. So a bit of a mix, but that's really interesting to see, with financial support available being the most popular answer. So I'll invite the panelists back for a few final questions, and if you can, there we go. Perfect. So this is for all, and it's probably just more kind of sharing your experience, I guess, of what's happened in the last year. So has COVID had an effect on the number of graduate apprentices? Is anyone?
I'd say, coming from an apprenticeships.scot perspective, we did see a drop across all apprenticeships advertised on the site, but I'd say from around December to January they certainly have picked up, and we've actually had quite a lot of graduate apprentices advertised in the last 6 to 8 months. We've hit our target already when it comes to graduate apprentices for the year, which is really positive. So I'd say they're definitely on the rise, but there was a bit of a slump during COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's good to hear that things are getting back to where we were before. So, and then our final question we have is, how can we ensure to be more diverse and inclusive in graduate schemes and apprenticeships?
For me, I think the sort of diversity very much starts with one of the biggest tools, recruitment. I think sometimes some of the common recruitment practices used within the sector do, not by deliberate sort of outcome, but do almost by stealth lead to a less diverse workforce. And I think that we do have to go out the way and look at recruitment practices and make sure that we're using sort of practices that do encourage extra applicants. The other side is that we do need to then make, do the bits round it and actually go out and make a conscious effort to make sure that we are encouraging sort of more diverse groups in, but also to look at the policies around the back of it to make sure that when they get into the sector that the work works for them. I love, there's a quote I saw somewhere and I can't quite remember it, but it spoke about inclusiveness, and it's not about bringing people into the workforce as is, it's about changing the workforce to make sure it works for everyone. And I think there's a little bit of work needs done there in the sector, but some great stuff on the go already.
Great, thanks, Elaine. Perfect. So thank you for everyone for joining us, for your questions, and to the panel for sharing your thoughts and insightful discussion. We have posted a few details for relevant links, and if you haven't already, please remember to download the handout before exiting. Your feedback is extremely important to us, so please take a minute to fill this out after the session. And again, thanks to the panelists, and I wish everyone a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.